Good afternoon. Welcome to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Chris McElwain, filling in for Paul John Dykes, who unfortunately is, due to family circumstances, can't be with us today, but I'm sure he would like nothing more than to be here with us, enjoying what should and what feels like it really should have been the title celebration today in the sun in front of our own fans. Sadly, it's not. However, it is a game that absolutely puts us one step closer to winning the title. Now, the good news is, it's not just me that's here. I've got two established internationalists joining me today, with the returning Kevin McCluskey and my usual compadre with Sean Conley from Australia. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Thanks for coming on and joining me. Last week, Brendan said that he would make some changes. Well, he's nothing if not true to his word. Lots and lots of changes in the lineup, Kevin. I want to get your view. Four big changes, I think, worth talking about. What have you made of the changes? And I'll bring up the team on screen as you walk through them.
Aye, well, first of all, it's nice to be back on because it's been a few weeks since I've been here. So it's good to get to watch the game again with you guys and talk about it. If we look at the team, yeah, I think we were all expecting changes from last week because it was a pretty dismal performance all round. I know we picked up a bit in the second half, but overall, I thought it was really poor last week, and it was probably a performance and a result that had been coming over the last few weeks. So, with Brendan saying he was going to make changes, I think we've all been geared up and prepared for that. The biggest surprise for me, we'll get to, towards the end, it's Jota not being in the team. But for the rest of them, I don't think there's very much that you could argue against them. If we run through the team, Sinisalo keeps his place because if Michael's injured and he's come in, he's done a pretty decent job. Actually, I think in the last couple of games he's looked fairly assured, one of the better performers.
Yep.
But going across the back line, I don't want to be too harsh on too many of the players, but you could almost have taken any one of the starting four or all four from last week and taken them out for one reason or another. To go though today with Johnson, Carter, Vickers, Scales, and Taylor, on paper it is a really strong defence. But we've just got to hope that they're up to the task again today, which in theory they should be. But I think we've seen with the likes of Johnson and Carter Vickers in particular, they look a bit leggy just now. They look a wee bit off the pace, and that's what I'm saying. If either of them had come out for Ralston or Nawrocki maybe coming in, you probably wouldn't have been overly surprised. That said, great to see them in the team because we know that when they're game, they're quality players. I don't think it's a surprise that Trusty's out, to be fair. I thought he was really poor against St Johnstone. He didn't seem to be up to the pace of that game at all. And Scales has really let us down when he's played. He's not everyone's favourite, but he's a player that just kind of comes in and he gives us all every game. So I think good to see him back in and hopefully provides a bit of stability in there. And Taylor, by his absence in the team at times, has proven that he's the best left back that we've got still. I think Strope has come in, and Chris, I'm not sure if it's you that's mentioned that it was just come in the group chat, but you've kind of said that Schlups comes in, he provides and offers us the things that Taylor doesn't, but then doesn't give us what Taylor gives us at the moment. Um, and it's that kind of thing, absence grows fonder. What's the saying I'm trying to come up with here? Absence makes
Absolutely.
fonder kind of a thing. So we've missed Taylor by him not being there. You see what he actually brings when he's in. So I think him coming back in gives us our best left back in the team. So fairly happy with that call. Across the midfield, McGregor, Hatate, Engels. McGregor I thought was decent against St Johnstone. I thought he tried. Thought he was trying to dictate the play as much as he could. But Hatate and Engels were both off it. I know Rio got a few shots away and he's got that thing where he can do that. He's more dangerous in a game than I think he actually is. His influence isn't there for the full match. And the chances that he had last week, he could have scored two or three, but he didn't. And that's a worry. It's great that he's there to miss, but I'd rather he was scoring. I'd rather he had one chance and he put it away rather than three and missed them all. He seems a little bit off form. Engels is struggling a little bit, and I wonder if he's one of the guys that Brendan's alluded to when he's saying that about the mentality of some of the players. So I think he comes in as a player who is a winner in his own right. He knows that he needs to win the games. But if you come from a team like Augsburg in Germany, it's okay to lose games.
Yeah.
whether I don't think he'll ever leave a pitch thinking it's okay to lose a game, but it doesn't affect him quite as much when you're at that level. When you're at a team like Celtic, you just can't afford to lose a game. And
Yeah,
I wonder if that's a transition that he needs to make mentally still to get up to speed with being a Celtic player. Um, and again, performance on the pitch last week wasn't quite there. So I would have thought Bernardo might have come in for one of those two. But again, on paper, McGregor, Hatate, Engels sounds like a really strong midfield. Sounds like one that should dominate the game against Kilmarnock. So I'm happy that we start with that, but we'll see how it progresses. And then up top, for me, it's no surprise that James Forrest comes in. If Yang had been fit, and I've been one of his biggest detractors, I would have put Yang in the team ahead of
Lee.
Kuhn this game because I think Kuhn's been off it since the turn of the year. He looks as though his head's been turned somewhere. His performance level has kind of fallen off a cliff, apart from a couple of games here and there. So I think it's right to bring him out the team. Forrest is Forrest's that old head that we need at this point of the season now. We're going back to same as what we did last season. I think kind of relying on certain characters to get us through games. And James is one of them. He's been over the course so many times. He knows what to do to get results. So I'm actually pretty happy that he's back in. And then the one that for me was the big shock is Ida starting ahead of Jota because again, I'm a huge fan of Jota. I think he brings something to that team, an excitement that no one else does. He's the bums on seats and bums off seats kind of guy because you just love watching him. You get excited every time he gets the ball. And again, last few games, St Johnstone included, I thought he's at least given it a go. He's tried to commit players, he's tried to crosses in the box, he's tried to make things happen. Doesn't always come off, but you get that effort from him. So surprised to see him out the team, unless it's a physical thing and we're just trying to still ease him back to full fitness because he's come, having not really played that much football.
Yeah.
So if that's the reason, that's fine. Otherwise, it's a surprise. But it's a massive game then for Ida
Yes.
because again, he's another one over the last month or so, maybe longer, hasn't really performed, hasn't lived up to the expectations that we have of him. Never really taken his chance when he's come off the bench or in his rare starts. I don't think he'll get too many more starts if he doesn't perform today because Maeda's stepped up and proven himself to be the new number one centre forward. So it's a massive game for him. Sound maybe pretty negative at times with some of what I've said there, but I'm actually really looking forward to this because I think the guys will have had a week of angry Brendan going through them and training and reminding them of the standards that we set at this club. Um, we have a chance today to go out there in front of our own fans, like you say, not win the league, which is what we should have been doing, but
Yes.
take us that one step closer and almost apologise for last week with a big win today.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, Kim makes a good point there. It's a little bit of a bittersweet day today. I mean, we're looking forward to the game. It's at home. It's against Kilmarnock. We're hoping that we're going to get a good statement win, but ultimately, at the end of it, we've still got work to do to get the title across the line. Whereas it would have been almost the perfect occasion today to do that. But going back to the lineup, I mean, I suppose one of the benefits of making so many changes to the starting lineup is that some of the first team players you've relied on up to this point, Sean, are now on the bench and could potentially come on and impact a game late in the day. But at the same time, it's a good opportunity for players like Ida, Greg Taylor to remind people what he's capable of. Scales, who never really lets us down when he is called upon under these circumstances. So that it's a game that's going to be quite interesting, I think, from start to finish, right?
Yeah, and look, Rogers has said previously, I can't remember, was it the Falkirk game? He made like 10 changes or something like that. And he kind of said after that game he doesn't like to make more than 4 changes. So that's what we're seeing today is he's obviously went, right, I need to freshen this up, but also we need some continuity. And he seems to be of the opinion and belief that four changes is the correct level for that. I'm as surprised as everyone that Jota was one of the names called. I wonder if there's something that other than performance or other than effort that's related to that. I wonder if it's maybe fitness or something. I don't know. It might just be that to get both Ida and Maeda into the team, like as in maybe they've showed the most at training. So to get both of them into the team, then somebody has to come out, and so it would then be Jota or Forrest and Jota. Forrest is more, I guess. I guess Forrest can play either side. It's strange. It is strange, but you're right. It is some real quality coming off the bench, and if you're a Kilmarnock fullback, you're not going to be looking forward to the 70th minute of the game when you've got a fresh Jota or Kuhn running at you. It'll be interesting. I was just looking at Roger's comments there, and he's basically said, the players that drop out have been quality for us this season, but we need to bring a different energy to the game. These players have had 8 months where the mentality and consistency has been at a really top level, and naturally there's going to be a slight drop-off. However, that shows for me there's still big improvements we can make. So yeah, that's fair enough in terms, but it's not true for Jota, and it's not true for Schlupp, because they just came in January. So that applies to Kuhn, and I guess it applies to Trusty, but it doesn't apply to the two guys that came in January. So I'm not sure where he's right there with his comments. It's I feel like he's just trying to not chuck players under the bus, not try to call them out publicly, and just try to give them a very public out. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to today is actually a chance to play football on some nice grass. Sometimes Celtic Park gets a bit spotty at this time of year, but it usually starts to, they've got a decent ground, and it usually starts to recover by April. So I'm hoping we actually get a chance to see some football played on grass today, unlike the potato field we were on last week. So that should be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one player I want to mention, Kevin, it's been kind of Mr. Consistency and Mr. Reliable, and that's been amazingly enough, given early perceptions of the player, it's been Dyson Maeda. And even today, when Rodgers has made 4 changes, he doesn't take Dyson out of the team, but he shifts him back over onto the wing to accommodate Ida.
We assume it might be a 4-4-2.
It could. We've been calling for that. We've been calling it play 2 up front, so it'd be nice to see. But I think what it does demonstrate, Kevin, is that he has become indispensable to the team at the moment, and the manager actually recognises that, because he said, "Okay, look, nobody really had a great game last week, but you're still someone that we're very much relying on," and that's why, even though we're bringing Ida in to give us a different option up front, you've got such value that you bring to the team that we're going to move you out onto the wing. And it's a real testament to how that player's improved and how he's transformed into this talismanic figure for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's become one of the first names in the team sheet, I would say, since the turn of the year. And who knew that he would make it as a centre forward? Well, Liam Carrigan did. I think he's been telling us that for the last couple of years.
But
yeah, his evolution over that wee while has been nothing short of spectacular. We've spoken about the qualities that he brings as a left winger, doing all the hard work that he does up and down the line, the defensive side of the game there, and I think we all just thought that's the type of player he was. He's just this industrious, hard-working right player, but he's maybe not technically that great. But put him through the middle, and he actually is a technically very good player. He's the goals that he scores. There's a lot of different goals in there. There's left foots, there's right foots, there's headers. It's one touch. It's there's a good range, and then you've got to be technically proficient to score those goals. He doesn't panic in front of goal, which he sometimes does actually when he's out wide trying to put a cross in. So you can see that actually this is it's a more natural place for him. And like I say, I think he is becoming one of the first names in the team sheet now. So testament to him and all the hard work that's going on. I feel we'll lose something from him today, from what we've been used to over the last month or so, with them moving out to the left. So it'll be interesting to see just how we are set up. Are we sticking with the kind of traditional 4-3-3, or is there going to be a tweak there and he'll be a little bit more infield and Forrest becomes the single winger? It'll be interesting to see that. But that what you're going to get from him is 100% effort. And if he gets a chance in front of the goal, you're now extremely confident that he'll score it, which was not something we would say 6 months ago. So, yeah, all credit to him for putting himself in that position now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to bring in some of the comments just now, just get some people's impressions of the lineup. It's a slightly new system, so bear with me. Here, the good news is that I can't ban people easily enough. Although there are some comments that do make you want to ban people, and this one is always the one. Paddy Lavery never misses. Jota's hair in that photo, and he's talking about our pre-match image on the YouTube. Must be what Chris Double Denim looks like first thing in the morning. Yeah, to be fair, it's not that far from the truth. But Paddy, come on, give me a break. Takes a long time to get my hair as flat as this. So let's look at some of the comments, and actually exactly what you guys have said. CJ7 comes in. Don't see why Jota was dropped. At least he wanted the ball last week. I mean, I echo that. I thought Jota didn't hide away. He was looking for the ball. There were times where we didn't pick him out when he was in good positions, and I think it was by virtue of the way that the television coverage showed Jota. There were times when he was in that kind of huge square of space on that left hand side, and for whatever reason we didn't seem to take up that option. But of course, it's very easy for us to say that when we're looking at that perspective. Much more difficult for the players on the park. Joe Hamilton comes in, and this is something I want to get your opinion on, Sean. Joe comes in to say Big Carter Vickers better up his game today after those comments. Now, the comments that Joe's referring to is that following Rodgers' quite public and maybe justified criticism post-match last week, Carter Vickers came out and quite a lot's been made of it, that he said that actually we didn't play as bad as being made out. We had chances to win. I think he referenced the second half. Sean, actually on the last match day, you had similar thoughts at times. You thought we'd made a marked improvement in the second half. Obviously a bit wasteful in front of goal, but we did create opportunities. Has too much been made of this, the fact that people are saying, well, Carter Vickers' views contrasting with Rodgers, or is he just being honest and saying, well, actually, I didn't think we played too badly in that second half?
I think the problem here is that a lot of people struggle with the idea that we lost to a team that's bottom of the league and also didn't allegedly play that badly. And for a lot of Celtic fans, and you'd imagine fans of other successful teams like Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, teams that dominate their country, you would expect that if you lose a game to a lower team than the league, it's because you played badly or because you've chucked the kids out or something like that. So, what happened last week was, I said at the time, and I'll say it again, was we were poor in the first half, and but a lot of the players in the first half were actually okay, but just not great. Didn't put in enough effort, but we had Kuhn and Schlupp were just like a man down, 2 men down. So we're basically playing with 9 men. They scored a set piece goal, and we just don't do anything in the first half. And in the second half, we do play quite well, I thought, in terms of moving the ball, and we created chances, but their keeper makes 9 saves or something. I don't know what it was in the total of the game. Their goalkeeper gets man of the match. So are you playing that badly when their goalkeepers get man of the match? Is if someone wants to come on here and make the argument that we played poorer last week than we did in that 0-0 game against Dundee United, or than we did in the 3-0 at Ibrox, or I don't know. There's been games like even the second half against Hearts we were worse. So I don't think we played the worst I've seen us play, but we just were not clinical. We were not taking chances. And we had a really poor first half that we struggled. We didn't recover from, and we didn't look like we were going to recover from, to be honest, despite the fact that we were creating chances.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's fair. I think it's a fair reflection. I think the frustration is that if you play that way and the way we played in the second half for the entirety of the match, and even if you don't necessarily get the result, at least the effort levels were certainly there. But I think you're up against it in terms of the first half. The first half performance is so bad that everything you do in the second half is just an echo of that first half perception, really, I think, and that's really difficult. In terms of just going back to some of the players that have maybe been kept in the team today, Kevin. Now, a few people in the comments are talking about Engels. Engels was subject to some criticism last week. He obviously has this price tag that hangs over him. That's not his fault. That's just the nature of football. There's a reputation to live up. He is still young. It's his first season. He's contributed quite meaningfully, both domestically and in Europe. A lot of people talk about the penalties, but the ultimate fact is you have to score them, right? So it shows decent mental strength. What's been your perception of him in the last few games, where he seems to be coming under a bit more scrutiny again, and not really maybe having the influence on games that you would hope he would have?
Engels is a tough one. So you'll rightly say that he gets scrutiny because of the price tag, and that's nothing to do with him. I wonder if he came in at £5 or £6 million, if he would get the same level of scrutiny, and people would be so obsessed by his performance week on week. It's because it's £11 million and he is the record signing. there is a level of expectation on him, I think, from the support as a whole, that he's going to come in and boss games. He's going to be controlling the midfield, almost pushing Callum McGregor out the team in a way, coming in to be his overall successor. He's going to be scoring goals from open play. He's going to be creating assists and chances. We haven't really seen it so much. But yeah, if we look at his whole contribution, right, he has scored some big goals for us. He has scored all those penalties, and we've had a long enough period in our history where we haven't had a consistent penalty taker who could put the ball in the back of the net. He's come in and he's doing it. He would get massive criticism if we missed those penalties. So we can't dismiss the fact when he is scoring them, right? It is big. It does take a testicular fortitude, to use John Hughes' phrase, to step up and score some of them. His set piece delivery is phenomenal at times. He's set up quite a few goals and big chances that way. So I think his contribution from beginning to now has been pretty good. The last few games, and he's had at least one period like this during the season, it hasn't been up to probably what we want to see from a central midfielder at Celtic. But that criticism could also be made to Callum McGregor at times. It could be made to Rio, and it could be made to Luke McCowan when he's come in. I don't think any of those four have really excelled over the last month or so. They've all had good periods, but there's just been something that's been off. And I don't know if it is mentality thing in the dressing room at the moment, where they have looked at that lead and went 16 points, 13 points. We can switch off a little bit and relax because the league is essentially won. We'll get it over the line at some point. That's not something that we, as the fans, allow the players to do. And maybe this becomes a real learning curve for Engels, that he's at a club where the expectation is that you win every week, so you can't drop off. To kind of answer your question, then, on his form over the last month or so, yeah, I think it has fallen. I don't think he has been as effective as we would like. But then, as I say, that criticism could land on every one of the players that's been playing alongside him. He's not been getting the dig out from others because they've also been playing pretty poorly. So I don't think it's just on him. And to use a phrase that I really hate, let's not write him off. He is a young lad. He has had a good season up till now. I'm pretty confident that once he gets this full season under his belt, he'll come back a better player next season. So I don't have any big concerns about that. But yeah, if you just look on the recency bias thing, last few games, not been great. Had he dropped out the team today for Bernardo, I wouldn't have had any real issues with that either. And actually, as I was writing the team down, I kind of subconsciously went McGregor, Hatate, Bernardo, and I just score it out and put Engels in. So I think that sums up where he's at. But he's still a good player, and he's still got the ability to positively influence today's game, which, as fans, we want him to do.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that, Kevin. One of the things that's been reported quite widely is that, not necessarily by those affiliated with our club, but as words like entitled, having expectations spoiled with success. Why are we criticising? We're 13 points clear. I think we're 13 points clear. Virtue, we don't really have much of a rival this season. But it's okay, Sean, isn't it, to criticise in the context of recent form without diluting what we've achieved up to this season, right? Because we're 13 points clear. We've been as high as 16 points clear. We've had great spells this season with these same players, the ones that were coming under scrutiny: Engels, Hatate, Ida, Schlupp coming in, Jota coming back. They've all played their part in, the success that we've had this season, both domestically, the progress we've made in Europe, one trophy over the line. But you can still criticise games and performances in isolation without saying, "Oh, that's terrible. These guys should never play again, and they're hopeless, and they need to drop out." Has the reaction to some of the recent performances, do you think it's been over the top, or do you see it as being justified in that context? And if we get this title over the line, we're not necessarily going to remember performances like last week, are we?
We won't remember. Certainly, people have forgot the performance as soon as the full-time whistle went. Most people aren't concerned with performances; they're concerned with results. So when the result doesn't go your way, then it's an automatic logical conclusion that the performance wasn't good enough. And logically speaking, that is correct. The performance wasn't good enough to win the game. But that also doesn't necessarily mean that the performance was terrible, that it was bad. We have not been at our top form since Munich. There's been the European hangover has been going on for weeks in a sense. We didn't refresh after the international break like we thought we would mentally refresh, that Jota was coming out and talking about before the St Johnstone game, saying, yep, we're in a good spot, blah, 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 blah. We've had the refresh, and it seems like that was not the case, that the malaise that we showed after Munich is still there. So, like what Andrew used to always say was every game is an opportunity to go out and achieve something, to entertain the fans. And I wonder if players are just thinking like, well, we've won the league. Like, why am I going to go in for this 50-50 tackle and risk an injury? You know, like Yang comes on last week and puts in a shift and then gets injured. And now he's out for 2 months. And it might be players are just treading water a little bit, trying to avoid getting injured. I don't know, like, saving it for the cup games. And the flip side of that is St Johnstone were absolutely fighting for their life. And look, Kilmarnock are 6 points off the bottom, 1 point off the playoff spot, so they're going to be fighting for it today as well. Yeah. It's the thing. It's like you don't consciously go out and be like, I'm just not going to try. Like it's more. We talk about down here in Australia. We talk about desperation. So when you're talking about how the team that really like when you get to the more important games and against the bigger teams, they play with desperation. Like they make these slide tackles that are, you talk about 1%ers in terms of actions that you don't normally get a lot. And we're not seeing that from Celtic. They're not playing with desperation because there's nothing to be desperate about. We're going to win the league. It's a procession. But if it just comes down to quality, we're the better team against any team in this league. And you see when after the split, whoever finishes sixth, whether it's Hearts or St Mirren or Motherwell or whatever, if they come to Celtic Park, we will absolutely scud them because it will be 5-0, no problem, because they've no European spot to play for, and it will just come down to quality versus quality. There would be no desperation from either team, and we will whip them. And it happens every year, and it will be the same this year. So we didn't have any desperation last year. The edge has gone off. There's a malaise might even be too strong, but we've definitely lost that hunger, that edge, as a result of being so far ahead. And maybe a bit of rotation will do that. Get players playing for cup spots. Maybe, I don't know. Like, we need to do something. If it just comes into quality, we've got it. But there's not that. That's not the issue. The issue is not the quality.
In the mentality, I would agree with you. Let's get some of your comments in at the moment. Kieran comes in to echo, if I can get the comment up, that is, to echo the comments on Engels. Engels is one of the taller players inside, yet he's one taking corners. We did the same with Matt O'Reilly, getting the lanky boys in the box. Yeah, that's a fair shout. I always wonder why some of the players that look as though they'd be good in the air end up taking the set pieces. JJ Celtic comes in, it's been great this season, but need better for the Champions League. Yeah, we've always got that in the back of our mind that we want to continue the European experience. Kev comes in, not our Kev, but another Kev, but good to have you on the channel. Engels makes good forward runs and we frequently fail to pick him out. Also make a good run and he has a delivery to get you in behind. We have seen that in fits and starts, actually. We've seen that in occasions where he can pick out a good run. Smell the Glove, welcome to the channel, says, glad to see Jamesy starting. Yeah, could be good game for him to hopefully see the maybe continue that run of scoring goals. So looking for that. And let's see. Oh, a slightly controversial comment. I'll bring that one up just in case. Slabbering Cabbage comes in and says, if Kyogo would stay, the Maeda didn't play up front, we wouldn't be as far in front as we are now. Kyogo's time was up. That's a few people talking about Kyogo. And on the forward line, hope Ida takes his opportunity today. Guys, I can see the teams coming out onto the park now, so we'll make this really quick. Kevin, what's your prediction today? How do you think the game's going to go, and what's your scoreline?
Oh, always confident before a game, or most of the time. I'm going to go 3-0 Celtic. I think we will raise the level of performance from last week, or be a bit more clinical, which is what we needed to be last week. So I'm going 3-0.
3-0. And Sean, same question?
I was going to say 3-0, so yeah, I think we'll get a clean sheet today. I think Carter Vickers did defend well last week. I guess the problem is Kilmarnock we do need to score early, because Kilmarnock, Derek McInnes' tactics is usually park the bus and then start attacking the wings in the 70th minute. So it may actually, the way that the Kilmarnock usually do that, we might actually be better off with these players on the bench. The wingers coming on, and I see they've got Danny Armstrong playing, who has a threat, Bobby Wales, striker threat. So
yeah,
they've got something, but hopefully, being it's a home game and being that the players are being chastised this week, I think we'll get 3-0.
I'm going to echo that. I'm going to go for 3-0 today. I think, hopefully for clean sheet. I also think, with some of the scrutiny on Engels, I'm going to back Engels to score a goal from open play today. And maybe we James are getting one as well. The other one can be spread amongst the other players, don't mind. But that's my prediction. Anyway, listen, thank you very much, guys, for joining me today. Thank you very much indeed to everyone that joined us on the comments. We will be back for half-time, hopefully talking about a very positive first-half performance that we can carry into the second half. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for joining us on A Celtic State of Mind.